You know, we usually think of finding clarity as this, like, incredibly peaceful Zen
Oh,
experience.
yeah, like the clouds part, the sun shines down.
Exactly. And suddenly you just have all the answers. But, well, what if that's completely wrong?
Right.
What if true clarity isn't some peaceful sunrise, but like an absolute earthquake?
I mean, that completely flips the script on how we pursue personal growth, doesn't it?
It really does. Because, what if finally seeing things clearly is actually the most disruptive, chaotic thing you can do to your own life?
Yeah, we all walk around saying we want clarity, but very few of us are actually prepared for the immediate turbulence that hits the second we actually find it.
And that turbulence is exactly what we're digging into today for this deep dive.
It's a great topic.
So, we're pulling insights from a really fantastic audio excerpt from Absolutely Focused Radio.
Specifically, Season 5, Episode 3, right?
Yes, your turning point, when clarity changes everything. And it's this incredibly raw conversation between these two personalities, Daniel and Curious Joe.
Yeah, and their backgrounds are deeply rooted in mindfulness and sobriety, which gives them a really unique perspective.
For sure. And they're building on some of their prior themes, like forgiving your past self and understanding that making progress is literally the definition of growth.
But they take it somewhere much more intense today.
They really do.
Yeah.
So our mission for this deep dive is to figure out how true clarity doesn't just, change your mindset, but how it actively and unapologetically disrupts your physical environment.
Which is the hard part, yeah.
Right. And we want to figure out how to navigate the intense pushback that follows when you start changing the rules of your own life. Okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
Because to understand this disruption, you really have to picture a trail of ants.
The ant trail is just a perfect behavioral model for this whole concept.
Right. So picture hundreds of ants, and they're moving in the exact same direction.
Just a literal trail.
Yeah, marching toward the exact same destination. It's totally orderly. It's predictable. Everyone is just doing what they're supposed to do.
Following the guy in front of them.
Exactly. But then, out of nowhere, one single ant stops. It turns around, completely breaks the line, and starts walking somewhere else entirely.
What's fascinating here is the social mechanics of that exact moment.
Yeah, because we tend to view clarity as this invisible internal thought process, right?
Right, but clarity doesn't actually exist until it alters the physical world. I mean,
Yeah.
It begins when your daily routines shift.
You stop going to the same places.
Exactly. You stop consuming the same things. You break your own habitual line.
But the philosophical question that comes up, and this is straight from the source, and it's what really gets me, is how the rest of the world perceives that break.
Oh, it gets messy.
It really does. Like, was that one ant just hopelessly lost? Or did it discover something that the other ants couldn't see yet?
Well, and when you apply that to your own life, you have to ask, what happens when everyone around you is totally convinced they know the exact trajectory your life should take?
Right, but something inside you just starts pulling you off the path. Like if someone interrupts your story and tells you how you should tell it, is it still your story?
That right there is the core of environmental resistance.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you break the line, you aren't just changing your own trajectory.
No, you're disrupting everyone else's too.
Exactly. You are dismantling the psychological safety of everyone around you. I mean, humans are wired to seek homeostasis.
We like things to stay the same.
We really do. We use the people in our lives as, like, behavioral landmarks. So when you suddenly shift your habits, say you stop drinking or you change careers or you just stop complaining about things all the time, you literally move the landmark.
And the people around you feel totally disoriented.
Right. And their natural reflex is to try and force you back into the line just so their world makes sense again. They are strictly used to the old version of you.
Which reminds me of that caterpillar and butterfly analogy they brought up. I just love this one.
Oh, it's so funny, but so true.
Right. Like, if you spend your entire existence crawling quietly on a leaf, slowly eating, well, that's your whole identity.
That's all you know.
And the other caterpillars know exactly how to interact with you. But then, you go into the cocoon, you do the work, and you emerge with wings.
You're completely different.
Yeah, you don't crawl anymore, you fly. But the other caterpillars are still down on the leaf yelling, "Wait, that's not how caterpillars move, you're breaking the rules."
Because they are holding you to a metric you've completely outgrown.
Ah.
And the deeper psychological insight from the text here is that they aren't even really interacting with you anymore.
What do you mean?
Well, they are interacting with a ghost. Sometimes the people in your life are stubbornly looking for the caterpillar when the butterfly has already arrived.
Oh, wow. Yeah. They want the version they know how to control, maybe.
or just the version they understand.
But I want to push back on that a little bit because is it always about control? Or is it sometimes just that they genuinely think you are making a massive mistake?
That's a fair point.
Like, if you are the butterfly flying away, it's easy for you, right? You have the wings. But the caterpillars might genuinely look up and believe you are going to get yourself killed up there.
Right, but the point the source makes is that the butterfly didn't sit around waiting for a consensus from the leaf.
It didn't ask for permission to grow wings.
Exactly. The crucial insight is that you cannot wait for the people in your life to update their operating manual for you. If you wait for them to understand your wings, you will spend the rest of your life crawling.
Which is such a powerful visual. But that brings us to the hardest part, I think.
Because we understand why others resist our change, but why is it so hard to manage our own internal resistance?
Right. It's one thing to ignore the caterpillars down on the leaf, but how do you ignore the voice inside your own head telling you that, maybe they're actually right?
Yeah, the programming causing that internal friction is tough to beat.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because the internal resistance is so much worse than the external resistance. We just carry all that external friction right into our own minds.
We internalize the environment, yeah. And the cognitive load just becomes unbearable.
So think about your mind like a smartphone. This analogy from the source is brilliant.
It makes it so clear.
Every single day, you are walking around, and the world is constantly trying to install new apps on your mental operating system.
Opinions, societal expectations.
Fear, doubt, someone else's definition of success, and these apps are just running in the background constantly.
And what happens to a device when it has 50 heavy programs running simultaneously?
The battery just completely drains.
Right. The processor overheats, you experience massive decision fatigue. Because every time you spend mental energy worrying about, say, an old friend's opinion on your new boundaries, you are burning cognitive battery life that was meant for your actual goals.
So the goal is to audit the phone. We have to actively uninstall the bloatware.
Which is easier said than done.
Oh, for sure. The apps you want to keep are things like sobriety, growth, mindfulness. But uninstalling the bad ones, that is an active daily battle.
It really is. It's why the biggest battlefield in life is the one directly between your ears. It requires a very specific type of mental discipline to decide which apps actually belong on your system.
But let's be careful here, because when we talk about keeping the good apps and deleting the bad ones, we're skirting dangerously close to that whole good vibes only culture.
Oh, right.
And we're all exhausted by the toxic positivity movement, aren't we? This cultural trope that society pushes, telling us that optimism means just ignoring the fire in your living room and pretending everything is okay.
Which is incredibly destructive.
Yeah.
Toxic positivity is fundamentally just a form of denial.
But real optimism, real positivity is entirely different according to the source. The way it's framed here is that real positivity is absolutely not smiling while drowning.
I really love that phrase. Smiling while drowning.
It's so vivid because that's what so many of us do, right? We put on a brave face while our mental battery is literally at 1%.
But real positivity is acknowledgement paired with action. The source's final word on this is that real positivity is actively choosing clarity, even when the mind gets incredibly loud.
It's seeing the chaos, acknowledging that breaking the ant trail is terrifying, and deciding to move forward anyway.
Right. It's not a naive delusion, it's a strategic choice.
Okay, so I'm with you on uninstalling the toxic apps and refusing to just smile while drowning. But I have to ask, if we are actively uninstalling other people's opinions from our minds, how do we handle actual, genuine feedback without letting it derail our news story?
That is the essential tension of growth right there.
Yeah.
Discerning the difference between toxic noise you need to delete and vital data you need to integrate.
Think about singing in the shower. We've all done it.
Oh, absolutely.
The acoustics are incredible. You've got the hot water going. You are absolutely belting it out. And in your head, you are a Grammy award-winning superstar. You are heading all the notes.
You feel unstoppable.
You do. But then somebody walking past the bathroom door in the hallway shouts, "Hey, that sounds a little different out here."
Which is so humbling.
Extremely humbling.
But if we connect this to the bigger picture, that feedback isn't necessarily criticism. The person outside the door isn't attacking your fundamental right to enjoy music or saying you're a terrible person.
No, but they are saying I'm a terrible singer.
Well, they're providing a different acoustic reality. It's calibration. Think of it exactly like a GPS stating recalculating route.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, when you make a wrong turn, your GPS doesn't yell at you. It doesn't say, you are a total failure, you have no sense of direction, just pull over and give up.
No, it's totally emotionally neutral. It just says recalculating route.
Exactly. It strips the emotion from the data. It's not telling you that you're lost. It's just giving you new topological data to help you get to your destination a little smarter.
But the problem is, when someone gives us feedback about our new path, our ego immediately processes it as a threat.
Right, we treat it like the other caterpillars pulling us down.
But what if we just treated it as GPS data, just saying, okay, recalculating? That requires such a massive shift in self-awareness to be able to hear a critique, pause, and strip the ego out of it.
And that pause is what we really need to highlight here. The source talks about the turning point, and it's often a very quiet moment.
Yeah, it is rarely fireworks and dramatic orchestral music when your life actually changes.
No, it's the moment you're standing in the kitchen. Maybe you're holding a drink, or you're about to make a bad decision, or fall back into an old caterpillar habit. You are right on the edge.
And suddenly there's this incredibly quiet whisper in your mind that just says, maybe not.
Maybe not. It's profound because it represents the insertion of choice into an automated habit loop.
And most of the time, we just completely ignore that whisper, right? We let the loud background apps drown it out, and we take the drink anyway.
But the choice to actually listen to that whisper the next morning, that is a moment of clarity.
So what does this all mean? We've talked about external pushback, internal apps, and this quiet whisper. But what is the actual mechanism making all of this stick?
It all comes down to the subconscious mind. The text focuses heavily on this. You are the author of your future.
Literally.
Yes. The words you repeat become the actual script your subconscious follows.
Which is a part that is both incredibly empowering and utterly terrifying to me.
Quite terrifying.
Because your subconscious mind does not understand nuance at all. Crucially, it does not know when you are joking. It simply listens.
That is so true. The brain is highly efficient, but it's very literal.
Right. So when I make a self-deprecating joke, like when I spill coffee and laugh and say, oh, I'm such a disaster, my life is a mess, I think I'm just being funny.
But your brain doesn't get the punchline.
Not at all. My subconscious just takes out a clipboard, notes that I am a disaster whose life is a mess, and then it starts looking for evidence to prove that script right.
Exactly.
Yep.
It filters out your successes and highlights every minor mistake you make to validate the identity you just handed it.
It takes every word literally. If you constantly joke about being stuck, your brain will physically ensure you remain stuck.
This raises an important question. If our subconscious is really that literal, and if we are constantly taking in external feedback that we need to coldly calibrate like a GPS, how do we gather all these diverse experiences without losing our own identity? How do we take in the world's data without letting the world write our script for us?
Well, the source gives us one final perfect analogy for this. The bee.
Ah, yes, the bee analogy.
Consider the daily life of a bee. It leaves the hive and visits hundreds of different flowers of varying shapes and colors.
Some are vibrant, some are withering, completely different environments.
Right. The bee gathers all these disparate elements from a chaotic, diverse world. It's taking in all the data, all the feedback.
But the honey that the bee eventually creates, that honey belongs to the bee, not the flowers.
Exactly. It takes the nectar from all these different places, but the chemical process, the final product, the meaning, is generated entirely internally.
So we go through life-gathering experiences, the harsh feedback, the quiet moments of maybe not, the resistance of the people around us.
We gather all of it.
But we do not belong to the places we've been. You don't belong to the people who handed you the data. The meaning you extract from that data, that is your honey. It belongs entirely to you.
I love that so much. It completely changes how you view hardship. Like, a painful experience isn't a permanent stain on your identity. It's just another flower you visited. You take the lesson, and you leave the flower behind.
Beautifully put.
So, to quickly summarize the path we've taken on this deep dive, we started by realizing that clarity is an earthquake. It demands that you break the line like the ant, even if it sends everyone around you into a panic because they're strictly used to the caterpillar version of you.
Then we talked about the mental discipline needed to audit your smartphone brain, right? Actively uninstalling the toxic mental apps of other people's expectations.
And refusing to participate in toxic positivity by just smiling while you drown.
Right. And then we learned to strip the ego out of criticism. Reframing the person outside the shower door, not as a hater, but just as a neutral GPS recalculation.
And finally, we dug into the quiet moment. The realization that your subconscious mind is a literal machine that is constantly writing a script based on the words you feed it.
It's a lot to process, but it's so vital.
It really is. Now, the source material leaves its listeners with this incredibly uplifting sign-off that I want to pass directly to you. Smile on purpose because you are the purpose. Stay focused, stay growing, stay awesome.
It's a great reminder.
It is. Just remember that you are the bee. The meaning of your life's experiences belongs to you alone.
But, the source text does leave us with one massive, lingering question.
Oh, right. What was it?
If clarity changes your story, what happens the moment you finally decide to trust yourself?
That is such a heavy question. And to build on that, I want to leave you with one final provocative thought that we haven't even really touched on yet.
Let's hear it.
If the science holds up, if your subconscious genuinely believes every single thing you tell it, and it possesses absolutely no capacity for sarcasm, what would happen if you used that biological glitch to your advantage?
Oh, that's interesting.
Right. Like, what if you started intentionally joking about being completely unstoppable?
Just flipping the script entirely.
Exactly. What if every time you made a mistake, instead of sarcastically calling yourself a disaster, you sarcastically told yourself that you are an absolute genius who is clearly on the verge of a massive breakthrough?
Your brain wouldn't know you're kidding.
It wouldn't. It's going to take out its clipboard, note that you are a resilient genius, and start scanning the world for evidence to prove it.
That's amazing.
Maybe the absolute most radical act of self-trust isn't some massive leap of faith. Maybe it's simply changing the punchline of the jokes you tell about yourself, because eventually your brain is going to make that punchline your reality.
That is a powerful way to look at it.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. If you want to explore these ideas further, definitely encourage you to check out the reflection toolkit mentioned in the source material from Absolutely Focused Radio. Until next time, keep writing your own script.